I want to talk some Eagles trade buzz here on the show, so let's do it. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. Continue to hang out here with us over the next several minutes. And as part of the show is Howie Roseman cooking up a trade for the Philadelphia Eagles. So today I want to talk about three players. One player the Eagles could trade for, two players who the Eagles could trade away. Kyle Pitts, tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. Bryce Huff, edge rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Dallas Goedert, longtime tight end for Philadelphia, who's been a great player for this organization. And let's begin with Kyle Pitts. I was looking at my Twitter X feed yesterday, and I've seen this pop up on my feed over the last couple of days, and there have been some rumblings the last year, maybe 2 years, that maybe the Eagles could be interested in Kyle Pitts to try to get him on the right track, maximize him as a player, because coming out of Florida, he was one of my favorite players in that draft class. But Eagles fans all over social media have really become obsessed with the Pitts trade idea. So I just want to provide for the people. So let's get into it here. Should Howie Roseman trade for Kyle Pitts? All signs point to Dallas Goedert either being traded away or him being released as he enters the final year of his contract. He wants a new deal, and he has no more guaranteed money left on his deal. The Eagles also love players with pedigree. Kyle Pitts is just that, a first-rounder who's had flashes of being really good, but the overall production has not been consistent enough, and his time in Atlanta has been very frustrating for the Falcons because they thought they were getting an all-world player at that position when they took him out of Florida. The Eagles are looked at by players as an organization where if you go to Philadelphia, it's a place to turn around your career. Pitts is uber talented, and here's a connection locally. He's from the Philadelphia area. He went to Archbishop Wood High School. Special athlete at 6'6", 250. Drafted 4th overall by the Falcons in the 2020 NFL Draft. He's had his moments. Hasn't quite lived up to the hype. But when I watched him at Florida, and I was doing my draft evaluations that year going into the 2020 draft, I had said, man, I think he is a no-brainer. I think that he is a sure thing at the next level. Then he goes to the NFL Combine. He has a relative athletic score grade of 9.65, and at 6'5", 245, he ran a 4.44 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. Stupid ability. And what's interesting about his trajectory is that he comes into the league 4th overall pick. The Falcons for a long time haven't had good quarterback play since Matt Ryan was in his heyday. And in year one, 68 catches, more than 1,000 yards, 15 yards per catch. 1 touchdown, 6 drops, not great, but over 1,000 yards as a rookie? Then in year 2, only 10 games played. Disappointing. Year 3, everybody thought that was the year that Pitts was going to pop off. 53 catches, 667 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 drops. And then this past year, this was going to be the year where Kyle Pitts was going to be the superstar player that the Falcons envisioned him being when they took him 4th overall. Once again, very frustrating season for him. 47 catches, 602 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 drops. Is this just the player who Kyle Pitts is? I don't believe it. I think there's a better player in there. Now, there has been some chatter about him not really putting the most into his craft, but my verdict on this, I would take a flyer on Kyle Pitts. He's going into the final year of his deal in 2025, has a cap hit of $10.8 million. That's less than Dallas Goedert. See what he can be as a wide receiver 3 tight end combo in 2025 alongside A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith on this offense with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley in this offensive line. If you like him and he hits, that's great for you in 2025. If he doesn't, you let him walk, and you took a chance on a player who has rare special ability, and he was a little bit cheaper than if you were to bring back Dallas Goedert. Of course, you have to worry about the blocking aspect at that tight end position, but think about the tight ends who the Eagles have signed so far in free agency. Granson, Bryant, they can block. Should Howie take a chance and trade for Kyle Pitts? T for trade, P for pass. As always, share your opinions with me down in the comment section right now. So we talked about Kyle Pitts. Still to come. Bryce Huff, Dallas Goedert. Will they be traded away? I have some thoughts on those two players. Cooper DeJean, what a rookie year he had. Going to be a part of this Eagles core for a little while. And right when the Eagles drafted him, we had to make these Cooper DeJean shirts. The real ones, no. Get yours today. Available in Kelly Green as well as black. Head to chatsports.com/DeJean and rock that with some style and swagger today. This report came out the other day from Jordan Schultz, NFL insider, and he said this: according to sources, the Eagles have been open to trade talks involving Dallas Goedert and Bryce Huff. Goedert is in the final year of his deal, while Huff, one of last year's big free agent signings, has seen limited playing time due to Philadelphia's deep rotation. And for Goedert, going into the final year of his deal. Huff, been a frustrating start to his Eagles career for him. He gets $34 million in guaranteed money, $17 million per year. You're thinking that he's going to be a stud edge rusher coming off a 10-sack season, and he just couldn't find it under Vic Fangio. And that was the case for him right from the jump, as Fangio didn't really have him a part of that pass rushing rotation as early as preseason in the training camp session, and that's when some of the red flags started to go up. As for Goedert, with him going into the final year of his deal, he also has non-guaranteed money on the expiring year of his deal. Him and his agent, they probably want to get paid. They probably want a new deal. He's been a top 5 highest paid tight end in the NFL. He has a $12 million cap hit in 2025. He's been, when he's healthy, one of the best all-around tight ends in the NFL. Really good pass catcher, picking up yards after the catch, and an excellent blocker at that tight end spot. Despite him being very productive, despite him having some great moments in the biggest of games for Philadelphia, as he's number 2 all-time in playoff receiving yards behind Devontae Smith, he's been injured a lot. And so the Eagles are probably looking at this saying, okay, have a little bit of a cap crunch. We've always drafted and developed tight ends pretty well within this organization's history, especially since the turn of the century. He's 30 years old, not declining, was awesome in this playoff run, but he's been injured a lot. And he could probably get some big-time money on the open market. Now, I would try to extend Dallas Goedert potentially if the money was right, and you hope that some of these nagging injuries that he's had, because it's never been anything too serious, will somehow go away, and he could stay on the field. But there's risk within that, with him getting a little bit older, and the Eagles, most importantly, trying to save money, to allocate it to the likes of Cam Jurgens, who is entering the final year of his deal. Jalen Carter is going to demand a deal between $30 and $40 million. You want to keep him around? That's the price tag that it's going to be. Reed Blankenship, going to be looking for a contract extension. Down the road, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, members of the same draft class. The cornerback market is going nuts right now. And so all of these things are factoring in to the Eagles' thinking. For Bryce Huff, not a good debut season with Philadelphia. He did have some good reps on tape. He wasn't always utilized the way that he was utilized with the Jets, where he would have his hand in the ground, 3-point stance. Vic Fangio used him as a stand-up edge rusher because in this Fangio defense, sometimes as an edge, you need to drop back and cover. Sometimes you need to be good against the run. Bryce Huff wasn't great against the run when he was with the Jets, but he fires out of that 3-point stance when he has his hand in the ground. Once the Eagles allowed him to make that adjustment, and once that change was made, started to do some decent things. And then he had that surgery, he was out, and then he was a non-factor, healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. And so a couple of questions come to my mind for Bryce Huff. What can the Eagles get back? If he does return, does Vic Fangio even like him? You might need him in 2025. Yes, you signed Azeez Ojulari. You signed Josh Uche. You have Jalix Hunt, who really has a lot of ability going into year 2. Nolan Smith took off in year 2. He's now going into year 3. But you lose Milton Williams. You lose Josh Sweat as part of your defensive line in getting after the quarterback and generating pressure on the opposing quarterback. And so, given you've already paid him, might not net a lot back in a trade, can you find a way to bring him back and try to get him on track to be an impact player in 2025? But if another team gives the Eagles something nice as far as draft capital, financial relief, might be hard to pass up on. Be sure to give me a follow, by the way, on social media. I'm on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I put all of these long-form content videos on YouTube. I do a lot of short-form content and more on my social media pages because I love talking Eagles.